Hi, everyone. Zainab Kapasi here with the Turn On Engagement podcast. On today's episode, we have Aditya Chakravarty, the head HR at Knowlarity. Aditya is going to talk to us about his approach to updating old school HR policies and strategies to better suit the ever increasing number of millennials in the workforce. He'll share some very interesting real life examples and much more. Stay tuned, it's all coming up right here on Turn On Engagement. Hi, everyone. Zainab here with another episode of the Turn On Engagement podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Aditya Chakravarty. Aditya is the head HR at Knowlarity. He has over 18 years of experience in HR, working with some very notable organizations in India, like Cafe Coffee Day, Infosys, Quicker, and Reliance, to name a few. Aditya is here to talk about things he's picked up along the way and the barrier breaking moves he's making today. Welcome, Aditya. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you, Zena. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let me get right into it. First question.
All
We are
right.
in a time where we witness a vast number of generations working side by side in the global workforce. What are the most significant issues that arise from that age gap that is not addressed by most HR policies or management strategies?
Okay. I think Zena, I'll try to explain this with a few examples. When we were younger, and I'm not too sure about if we have a generation gap between us or not, but at least when I was younger, and so at least when I was younger, and we would go to a restaurant with my parents. I don't know if you remember, but we used to, if we couldn't finish a dish, we would pack it up and take it back home.
Yeah, we still do that.
Yeah, we probably still do that. But we would pack it up and take it back home, thinking that we'll probably finish it later, but we will not waste it. We will not let it, be thrown away, right?
Right.
Uh, but even if in the once it's in the refrigerator, we don't mind it being getting rotten for the next 3 months, but we'll still probably pack it up and keep it. I don't think we've ever
Yeah.
gone back and eaten. We've never gone back to eat packed food later on, but we'll still do that, and we won't waste food and we won't throw it away. While today's generation, they probably don't care about packing food. I mean, we still do it in some cases, I'm guessing, but we order food from Swiggy or a Zomato, and we kind of eat whatever we need, and then eventually if you go to a restaurant and there's a lot of food left, I don't think we really care for kind of packing food
Taking
back
doggy
home and
bags.
taking it back home, and probably just go and give it to a little dog somewhere or on the street, or someone who needs the food. But I think one of the reasons why that may be happening is also because our parents were from an era which was called which like to call the scarcity phase, where jobs were very scarce, which is why our parents, or at least a lot of us know our fathers to be working in the same organization or in the same whether it's a government or a non-government organization for decades together, right? And I think loyalty became key. Not too many options in the industry. They would go with whatever their bosses would say. They were a lot more proper than what we are today. I don't think we care much for a lot of grooming in today's day and age. And because of scarcity, they were always going on time, coming back on time. I don't remember any. I mean, I think with all my friends also, with their parents, they were always very punctual, right? I mean, with everything. So going on time, coming back on time, meeting those hours at work, those typical 8 hours of work or 9 hours of work, and then coming back. Their lunchtime would have been exactly, that 1 hour in between. So very, very disciplined. And, I think they were following rules only because they had to follow rules, because the company is like that, and they have a system and protocol accordingly. Nobody would break rules because they don't have any other option. They can't just walk out of any organization. They're not having too many interviews in place to, kind of just go and attend them. Today's age, I mean, there are jobs aplenty, and it's all over the place. I mean, if I want to look for a job now, I'll probably get a couple of calls tomorrow. and in all probability, I'll get an offer day after tomorrow and I'll join next month, you know.
Yeah.
So I call this phase the abundance phase, where, I may not necessarily care for loyalty as much. I may not, and when I say me, I don't necessarily mean me. It's primarily the generation that is today. They are
That's
not
right.
exposed to the scarcity phase. They're exposed to an abundance phase, and uh, there's just so much opportunity for them that
Mm.
I don't think loyalty is the first thing that they look for. They're looking for themselves. Looking out for themselves. And I'll give you another example. You look at any millennials phone today, and you look at the camera gallery, right? The phone gallery, you'll
Mostly
probably see
selfies.
selfies.
Yeah.
You look at my phone, I don't have a single picture of myself, and I'm either clicking, my pictures of my wife and my son, or going out and clicking pictures of landscapes and things like that, or the mountains.
Right.
But today it's about self, because that's how they were born, and they're used to that, right? And also parents are today in the abundant age as well, so they are providing for their children as much as they can. It's not their
Mm.
fault. That's how they were born, and they're not used to anything else. So today,
Mm.
when I tell my son that we used to pack food when we were going to restaurants, when we should, so we don't finish, and we don't waste food. He doesn't understand that concept. How can you pack food from a restaurant, take it home, and eat stale food when I can have fresh food right here? Okay, fine. I may not be able to finish it, but why should I overeat? Let it be. So there's a very interesting conversation that I keep having with him. But coming back to policies, 90% of our audience at the workplace is the millennial audience, and of course, HR policies are stuck because the bosses are not necessarily from that generation. They're slightly from the older generation. So, they're trying to change the world within a certain framework that they know. It's not necessarily possible that, everybody would want to fit into that mold. Extremely important for, bosses to understand their audience. And it's also extremely important for the audience to understand their boss, to know that he or she is from a different generation too. So how do we work together? So yes, HR policies. I think a common policy that is stuck is, let's say, the attendance or the time in, time out policy. Everyone wants 9:30 to 6 kind of a situation, or they want a 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. sort of a situation where they can fill in 8 hours, no matter whatever slot. But today's generation doesn't care to, they don't really care about coming to office. They feel that output is output. I can work from home. I can work for 2 hours a day and I can get things done. Why do I have to see your face? And, I can just work from home. So it is how it is, and it's not their fault. That's how it is. And it's true. Output is output. At the end of the day, everyone wants output, right? So yeah, so that's of course my answer to the first question. I hope I'm making sense though.
No, you are. In fact, you sort of answered my next question as well, which was, what, in terms of, the HR policies that are now very current, which generation do they cater to most, which is basically the older generation, and why is that not working anymore? It's not working because the younger generation do not want to clock in, clock out at particular times. We do live in an era now where hybrid working or remote work is very prevalent, and you can make good money doing that as opposed to going to office. And people have realized that the time taken to get ready, go to office, and like sit in unnecessary meetings, it's just a waste of time, and so much more can be done sitting at home and doing your own thing. So now, like, when all of these, when you have all of these new thoughts and new things going on, how do you sort of maintain, like, for companies that still maintain that, no, you have to come to office, you have to, like, we don't do the remote thing, we don't do the hybrid thing. How do they find middle ground, like, changing their policies, but at the same time they won't change it that much also? Like, what would you suggest they do?
No, I mean, that makes sense too. For example, during COVID, there were a lot of healthcare companies that had to have employees at work,
Right.
despite, having offices shut down everywhere, and, there was a lockdown and things like that. But I think in the medical fraternity, it became crucial for them to, at least be there at work and, help
That's
people.
right.
There's no denying that, sometimes these things are difficult to manage, but I think it all boils down to freedom. At the end of the day, it all boils down to the fact that, am I respecting this generation's personality or this generation's need to satisfy themselves at a certain thing at work? And it's not necessarily always about hours of work. It's about efficiency. It's about output. It's about, whether that person is happy at work.
Right.
Today's, let me put it this way. If you ask me, the current generation is, firstly, they're born with a silver case in their mouth of the phone. It's not even a silver spoon anymore. They're born with a mobile phone, and they're born
Yeah.
with, a certain, massive dose of dopamine every day, where they send out a message and they get instant gratification in the form of another
Right.
message. It's difficult to maintain an employee base of 90% of that generation, waiting for gratification to come their way. So, for example, if an organization has to ensure that people come to work, then maybe one way of managing that is to give them instant gratification every day, give them a pat on the back every day. When I was in school, I remember getting a star in my report card or my notebook maybe once a year. Today, my son comes back with a star in his notebook every day. And I'm like, okay, fine. And he comes back really, really happy. And that's how it is. Book My Show is an example. I believe that they would, give a star to every employee at the end of the day, or, employees that have done well or whatever. And it was like a daily affair. And, I think instant gratification really works with today's generation. That's how it works. And they like it. I mean, as soon as they send out a post on Instagram or a reel on Instagram, they're always waiting for the number of likes that they get on those posts on Instagram. So why would we want to change that behavior and make them feel like they're not at home? That's the first mistake we will make. I mean, if 90% of your audience is that generation, should we not change towards what they want to be? Should we not be an organization that they want to be a part of? Why would you have an organization with 90% millennials where you are mandating a certain number of hours of work, even if it's a mandatory coming to office kind of a solution? Why would you want to have policies that are terrible for them and the policies that they don't relate with? How on earth are they going to see a future in that organization? They're always going to be looking out. There's no way you'll have them staying with you for so long. I mean, of course, there'll be exceptions, but that's not how the world is moving. And I think if you're not moving with the world, you're dead as an organization. So that's my submission to this.
No, I completely get what you're saying. You have some very, very good points over there. Okay, now policies are one thing, right? But you must encounter situations on a day-to-day basis where you need to navigate smartly to resolve issues purely caused due to differences in ethics or work habits between the generations, whilst trying to manage the multi-generational workforce. How do you also try to bridge the gap? So like, how do you enable each generation to be able to work amongst and with each other?
It's like any relationship. It's like a father-son or a mother-son or a father-daughter, mother-daughter relationship. I would recommend, first, let me go back to the home and say that, I think every professional should try and bond as much as possible with their children and, understand how their child thinks. And I won't, obviously, the 90% that I talk about that forms your organization, which are millennials, are not necessarily the same generation as your child. But if you're interacting with your child, you probably know what's coming going forward, because your generation will keep on becoming, they'll keep getting new. You'll find younger generations keep coming, they'll keep coming in every year, right? So
yeah.
I think at least it's helped me in the organization that I work for, where I have so many 21-year-olds working in the org, and my son is 12. It's just about 9 or 10 years apart, and I see what's coming. I kind of understand what how he thinks and what he's looking forward to in a way. And what's wrong in trying to build an organization that is ready for the next generation coming in after 5 years, and making it a lot more cooler for the current generation? You're already there,
Yeah.
and there's no harm in doing that. The other solution is, Zainab, that like I said, at home, interact with your child a little more, and you'll understand things better. Uh, what stops our supervisors or leaders to talk and be around their team members, the younger team members, and spend a lot more time with them? Go out for lunch with them, go out for drinks with them, talk in their lingo. Try to be a little bit like their age. I know it could be exhausting for some of us who are older, but try doing it once in a while. We're not asking you to do it all the time, but once you do that, they will
You'll
induct you
start
into
to
their friend of, yeah,
yeah.
they'll induct you into their circle. And once you're inducted into their circle, they will understand you too. That's also important, because the generation today has very little attention span. They don't want to necessarily know you that well, but if you spend more time with them, they will automatically get to know you better. But I think a lot of that responsibility lies on this generation, that is my generation, and maybe the earlier generation than me, to kind of carry that burden of understanding and knowing your people better. It's like you want to understand your customers better to sell better and make them
Right.
happy. Why would you not want to do that with your team members, who's actually going to be making you successful at the end of the day? They're the ones who are going to be executing all the work that you have for them. So it becomes a necessary thing to do, I think, in today's day and age. You have to interact and be a part of what's happening in your in your team, in the generations that are coming after you, because you also want to be updated. If you can update your phone all the time because you want the best of things on your phone, why
Yeah,
can't you
you should
update
be able to
yourself?
update yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're updating yourself in knowledge, this is also knowledge. I mean, this is experience. This is value. This is understanding different personalities and working with them. And at the end of the day, it's leadership.
Right. And I think one thing that a lot of the older generation struggle with, like you mentioned that, what's stopping you from going and spending some time with your employees and getting to know them better and all that. They, with the previous generations, there was always that you must maintain a level of professionality, keep your work life separate, your personal life separate. And, now we live in an age where there's a lot of overlap. So many people that we know, they're best friends, and their entire lives revolve around, the people in their offices, and vice versa. So I think that's something that, a lot of the older generation, I don't know if it's like something that they know and they don't want to do anything about, or if it's just that they think it's not a problem. They think that this is how it should be, and that, if we just maintain a good working relationship between each other, everything will be all right, and things will
Right. So
function
I
just
think,
fine.
I still believe in keeping the professional and personal separate. I don't think I've changed that way. But I know for a fact that I will give my people time. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to party with them all the time. It basically means that even at work, I can talk to them a lot longer. I can, do a check-in on their work every day, ask them how they're doing every day, ask them how things are at home every day. And, what is your state of mind? Do you need a break? Do you need to, do you want to chill today? What kind of work do you want to do today? How creative are you feeling today? I think it doesn't boil down to just partying. That's not necessarily the best way of engagement, I feel. I think engagement is
Yeah.
relationship with the team. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of us work for our bosses. I think, and a lot of them work for their bosses only because of the freedom that they get because of those those bosses. So I think it's maintaining a difference in the professional piece and the personal piece is still valid. I don't, intermingling them will really do. I also need to be happy. At the end of the day, I can't be sacrificing everything. I have a family to look after, and if I have a team that is, mostly bachelors, then it's not going to be possible for me to spend that much time, obviously. And I don't think they also really need you to be all the time with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really need their bosses to be partying all the time with them, right? So that's not the idea. I think the idea is to connect more and know each other more beyond the professional level in terms of, at least respecting each other's personalities, respecting each other's freedom, needs, desires,
Yeah.
ambitions, and, kind of giving all of that time and, specifically, respecting their time with, at least with each employee to know them well enough. I think that's all that matters, Zainab. I think the earlier days, there was a clear line. I have to make an appointment with my boss, or I have to schedule a calendar via the secretary or the EA and things like that, and, kind of get time with my boss. Those times have changed. I don't think any millennial would necessarily, I mean, of course, exceptions are there, but they would want to work in an organization that is highly hierarchical and, has too many rules and protocols to follow. It just slows
Right.
things down. For somebody who wants instant gratification, would just want to walk up to somebody, knock on the door, and just walk in and talk. Possibly not even knock on the door, and if the door's open, and, I mean, I think that's the kind of culture that normally it should have. I think a lot of companies today don't even have a cabin culture. It's all open, right? They're all sitting
Yeah.
together. The founder's right there, and, I'm literally having a beer with the founder, trying to understand his vision and things like that, right? So it's so open today, and that's the reason why, because, we don't want to have any boundaries with regards to age, gender, sexuality, none of that. In today's age, nobody believes in all of that. Even if they do, at least they try to keep it back home and not take it to office. So
Right.
it's that kind of an environment today. That's how the generation is today. If the world and the future is going to be run by this current generation, you better be fitting in, irrespective of whatever
Right.
generation you're from. I can't have my rules and, my own boundaries working in this generation. It's just not going to work, and I'll be the outcast. I need to be fitting in too, not them. So yeah,
That's
you
so
can
true.
keep these two things separate. And there's no rule like that, but give it your
And it comes back to
potential. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
again, it comes back to finding common ground with them, I think. So
Yeah, it
like
always.
what you mentioned before as well, instant gratification, recognizing them for the smaller things as well. Now, a lot of companies have, rewards and recognitions programs that are quite complex, just to keep their employee force motivated. Before it would be an annual or a 6 monthly or a quarterly thing, and now it's
Nice.
like daily, like it's a daily thing. They have to be recognized on a daily basis to stay motivated and positive. Is this something that you've done within Knowlarity? Do you have
Yes.
a recognitions
Yes. We do
program?
have something like a quarterly thing, yes, which is a more official thing, but we have a daily kind of a thing as well. We send out, things like a spot award and things like that. But, I'll tell you what, appreciating somebody too much is not a problem at all. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. Giving a pat on the back, going and hugging somebody for some amazing work that that person would have done, or, a great customer win, for example. No matter how small it is, somebody who's really worked hard to get that first win, for example. Why don't you want to go up to the person and give that person a hug and say that, boss, hats off to you, massive respect.
Right.
I think things that don't cost you money and can make people smile should be in abundance. Why should we be conjuice, or try to hold back that emotion? Because everything works on emotion at the end of the day. Yes, this generation is sometimes a lot more detached than we used to be. I think if they make a mistake, they kind of fail fast and move on. I think our generation still would probably mull over the whole thing a little more, a little longer, and then realize, oh, okay, we've wasted a lot of days on this. But I think this generation seems to be moving on fast, and I think that comes out
Yeah.
of the whole instant gratification thing. That okay, fine, I made a mistake, let's move on. It's okay. It's no big deal, and these things do happen. But they will also probably go through a lot of other issues that they're not exposed to right now. And I think somewhere it's our generation's responsibility to kind of guide them and tell them that, you know, maybe you can choose this path. I don't think I can
Mhm.
force this generation to do anything. but I can definitely, talk to them and give them my example, saying that, I tried to do this and I got stuck here. Just be aware of that. Don't force the person. I can always tell them that, be aware of these things. Some of these things can happen, and they join the dots. They're intelligent enough to join the dots themselves.
Yeah.
But it is primarily that, Zainab. It is primarily spending a lot more time, appreciating more. What I don't remember my father appreciating me much, in the sense that, he would probably say a sort of a good job, beta, maybe once in 6 months or something like that. But I tend to say this to my son almost every day. Sometimes I feel that I'm spoiling him, but that's how they are. I mean, they want it like that, right? I mean, when they're playing video games, they get reward immediately, and they get coins and freebies on the PS4 and all of that. That's how it is. So then, how can you not maintain that for them? Yeah. So I mean, I think different generations, different personalities, and that's how the world is moving. So you have to, kind of adapt accordingly. It doesn't cost money to appreciate somebody. It doesn't cost money to just walk up to the person, give a pat on their back, and come back to your seat. Makes you also feel good. Why not?
Yeah, and I think it's always better to create and provide an environment where there's more positivity and boosting people up, as opposed to being overtly critical. And most of the time, even when it comes to giving someone feedback on their work or something, you always have to be a little more diplomatic about it, because you never know what sentence can bring them from 100 all the way down to like 10 in terms of motivation or confidence, for that matter.
I think I'm sorry, please continue.
No, go ahead.
I have a sort of an observation to that as well. I have a team of mostly millennials. I have right now about 10 or 11 people, and out of them, easily about 8 of them are, really, really young and almost fresh out of college. When I have a conversation, even if it's about feedback, I will at least, always start with the best, feedback to give first. Yeah. Talk about some of the things that, probably we could have done better, and what help do you need. And then at the end of the day, end of the conversation, still say that, boss, I believe in you, and dude, you if you can do so much and so soon, don't let this particular thing bog you down. Just move forward and fix it, and they're quick on it. It depends on how you end the conversation or how you start the conversation. It depends on how much effort they have put in. A lot of them know that they've not put in that much effort, and they know that it's coming, so that's fine. And I think that's the same across generations. But if someone has put in a lot of effort and there's a mistake that's happened, I think even bosses are moving towards being a little more easy and understanding the crux of it all, and not unnecessarily them down for no reason. Otherwise, it just, the relationship goes wrong, and then it just stays with the person, and it's never going to improve. But there's always a tariqa, like they say, there's always a way to, I think it all boils down to respect and love. And if you can treat everyone with that kind of, emotion, then it's all, it should be fine. Yeah.
Well, Aditya, I have one last question for you before I let you go.
Yeah.
Would you say the key to managing any workforce is understanding who they are and what their background is? Or is there something that I'm leaving
out? Let me give it a slight twist. If one husband, okay, it won't work if you don't try to understand why he is behaving a certain way, or why he is a certain way, right? More often than not, it probably comes out of his childhood or his circumstances in the past. Honestly, everyone's like that. We're all like that, and but there are always commonalities between each generation and generation groups, and you can Google it and you'll see the difference. And not only the differences, you'll also see similarities, right? So when you talk about let's say, somebody's background, it's always there. I mean, there's always a background to everything that that you see in front of you as a personality. And, you'll actually see the difference between a child who's from the scarcity parents generation, and you'll see a
Yeah.
difference in the child from the abundant parents generation. And you'll also see a lot of similarities. But if you ask me, I don't think we have to look at backgrounds all the time. I think we just have to give the person due to what he or she is today, and look at the positives that the person brings to the table. What's that unique, because everyone's unique. Yeah? So what is that unique thing that person is bringing to the table? All you have to be mindful of is that, so I won't call it background. Considering the conversation that we're having today, I would still look at generations. I will still look at things that probably could be a given, saying that, okay, fine, this person is probably from this generation. I know the person's age. The person may be thinking like this, maybe feeling like this. What should I do to make that person feel more comfortable and better, right? Maybe that is a mental note that generally we all make, where a lot of people ignore the generation gap. We make mental notes of religion, we make mental notes of where the person is from, which state the person is from, which village or which city that person is from. But you don't make a mental note of actually what should matter. The fact that that person is of a certain generation, is born with a certain amount of uniqueness. And those are the things that we can respect, and we look at it as is in the present time and then follow it accordingly. Why look at backgrounds at all? When you know that you'll have diversity and you'll have so many types of personalities in the organization, I think there's so much more to learn from these
You
people,
just have
rather
to be
than,
open enough to sort of
I
pick
mean,
up different things from all these different people.
and when you're talking about diversity, and even different generations is part of diversity, right? When you're talking about diversity, it's actually a form of unification. I don't know why we call it diversity. It's a form of unification because it's a combination of so many ideas. It's a plethora of different perspectives coming onto the table. I cannot be right all the time. I just cannot be right all the time. I mean, there will have to be more views, more perspectives coming in to maybe make the right decision or maybe make things even better, right? I sometimes, I'm from that, I won't say generation, but I'm from that school of thought that, I think we overhype diversity as if it's just a gender problem, or it's just a, age problem, or it's just a religion problem and, nationality
Right.
problem. It's not a problem. It is just that, we are not looking at people in their own unique way. We are looking at them differently
Yeah.
rather than looking at them similarly. We have to
Yeah.
look at them as people who are going to add value to you. It's not about you adding value to them. It's about them adding value to you. So, I don't think background should ever matter. In fact, we should embrace it. We should not even talk about it, and we should just look at how that person is contributing that to that current present situation, and just go with that flow and enjoy that, rather than having so many convoluted, links to how you're thinking. That's our problem. That's not their problem. So I hope I'm being able to answer your question. I think I may have taken a slightly emotional route, but but what I meant to say is that I don't think we have to look at anybody's background. We just have to look at the person today and see how we can work together and make fun together. Have fun together. That's it. That's all
I
that
think I couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you, Aditya. That's all. That's all the questions I have for you. You did amazing. Thank you so much for being part of the episode. Thank you so much for giving your time, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Zena. Likewise, and thank you for having me. It was good fun talking about that. I'm very passionate about this. So anyone who's giving me an opportunity to talk about this, I will go all out. So thank you so much. The time. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, employee communications and HR folks. We've got some big news to share over here at HubEngage. We've officially been made a Society of Human Resource Management recertification provider. So if you're a SHRM member and you're in need of getting your mandatory recertification credits, you can tune into our new webinar series where we educate and train you on a variety of HR-related topics and trends so you're up to date on your continuing education requirement. SHRM is a great place for all things HR, and with this exciting new partnership HubEngage has created, we can now recertify you while you turn on engagement at the same time inside of your company. For more details and to sign up for a recertification course with one of our HubEngage SHRM certified experts, visit hubengage.com and click on the SHRM tab under resources to get started today.